Here's another DrumKat tutorial. This time I'm using the EZdrummer Latin Percussion pack, and I'm going to explain how you can use some of the different features on the DrumKat to make use of all those different sounds in the Latin Percussion expansion. So this is the Latin Percussion pack, which is loaded inside of Superior Drummer. You can also use EZdrummer on this as well. There's quite a few different pieces to play with. You've got congas, bongos, timbales, cowbells, a few cymbals and shakers and stuff. These little drop down arrows will give you different instrument choices and different variations of that instrument. So for example on the congas I can choose a fibercraft version, and that loads down the bottom, giving me a different sound. Quite a lot of these have different variations, so you get a few cymbals, different types of cowbells, different shakers, loads of shakers, and loads of different tambourines to play with. All in all, it's pretty comprehensive and quite a nice pack to play with. In planning out this kit, I wanted to come up with something that had a few fixed points of reference, but also was able to make use of them, some of the many sounds you've got on the Latin Percussion kit. And this is what it all sounds like. Starting with pad 1, I'm using multi-mode on this, so I've got two sounds running, a cajon hit and a tambourine joined together. Sounds a bit like that. Pad 2 is just a simple sound, so a standard udu. And that doesn't change at all, that's a constant. On 3 and 4 I'm using bongo sounds. Now one thing I've done with these to give a bit of variation is to use alternate mode, but just with two sounds. So there's a left and right sample for your left and right hand, and both of these will alternate between the two, so you've got left and right, and the same with this one. And hopefully you can hear there's a slight difference between the two. Now on this one I've used alternate mode again, and this is a timbale sound. If you notice, the last note, or the fourth hit, is a lower timbale. So that means when you're playing it, it gives you like an alternating pattern which you can play around with when you're doing fills and stuff around the kit. Down here on pad 6, I'm using the cajon again. Notice that one varies a little bit. I've used something that I don't normally use on this one, which is the note shift mode. This mode will shift it between a range of notes depending on how hard you're hitting the pad. Now the cajon sounds are set up between about 3 or 4 notes, so as I increase the pressure on the pad or increase the velocity, the note will shift between those 3 notes, so the heavier hits on the higher end of the note and the lower one on the lower. Here's a little more detail about how some of these pads are set up. If we look at the last one, pad 6, which is the note shift, you can see at the top there, note shift mode. These two numbers here show the range of notes that it will shift through, and it will respond to that with this velocity curve number 4. Down below you've got the similar settings, so simple mode, so you've got the velocity range, the curve for that, and then a gate time if you want to add one of those. Pad 1, which is the cajon and tambourine, if I go to edit that was in multi-mode, which means you can play multiple sounds at the same time. You've got up to 4 notes you can play. This is showing that it's in number 1, sound 1, sound 2, and I've got the tambourine and the cajon, and then 3 and 4 are both set to off because I've only got 2 notes. You get the same settings as in simple mode, so you can change velocities, change the curve, gate times, and add delay onto those if you want to. The alternating pads look a little bit like this. This is the timbale one. You can have up to 4 different notes alternating, or there's also a different alternate 8 mode where you can have up to 8 notes. For this one I've got 4, so you can see the note underneath there stays the same for the first 3 notes. Then the 4th note is number 66, so that gives the lower pitch timbali, and that gives the cycle of the lower one on the 4th hit. And you can change these around whichever way you want and create your own sort of loops and repetitions, however you want to do it. On the top ears of the cat, I've got another alternating pad, and that's used for some effects. So I've got a garage shaker, 2 of those, and also some bells or chimes. On here I've got a trashy crash. That's just on simple mode, and simple mode for these 2 as well. I've got a triangle and a shaker. On the feet I've got the Urdu, and on the left foot I've got a nice cowbell.